Yo, what's up, guys? We're going to be reacting to the Sweetie allegations. Now, I have heard a little bit about this. And it is quite funny because, although I don't know too much, the person she's involved with right now was a guy that used to play for the soccer team I'm a fan of. So I do remember seeing her at one of her games, like at least on social media, and like back in like January or something. And I didn't really think anything of it because the team made it seem like she was invited to the game to watch them, but I guess we kind of now know or have an alleged idea of why she was actually there. So let's get into this video by Blackie Speaks. Of course, the link is going to be in the for the original video is going to be in the description.
I want to talk about this recent story involving rapper Saweetie getting exposed by her former road manager, who basically accused her of moving like an escort. I'm sure a lot of people recognize the name, or at least the face. Saweetie got popping back in 2017 with her breakout song Icy Girl. After that, she had a few big hits and a very public relationship with the rapper Quavo. But even though her music pushed her to the top, a lot of the conversations around her career has always been about her image, her relationships, and whether the fame was built on more than just the music. Now let's get into this particular story. A few days ago, a woman who goes by the name of Maybach May, who claimed to be Saweetie's former road manager, went viral after posting a series of social media posts accusing Saweetie of exploiting her current boyfriend, which is footballer Jadon Sancho, for money. Basically, she claimed that she was the one who arranged Saweetie's trip to London, where she met Jadon. Some of y'all might recognize the name or face. Jadon Sancho is
Yeah, this is the freaking guy, bro. So this is why, because the funny thing is he actually didn't want to stay at the team because they wanted to pay him less money. So I guess now we know why he needed all the money he can get. So
a very famous 25-year-old English footballer, or soccer player, like Americans would say, who plays for Aston Villa in the Premier League. Saweetie and Jadon first linked up back in January 2025 following her visit to Chelsea FC's home stadium, Stamford Bridge, back when Jadon
yeah, this is what I was talking about. Bro, nah, I remember Twitter that day, bro. People were trying to claim. Actually, let me stop, bro. Let's just watch the stupid video.
was playing there for one season on a loan. That trip ended up being a turning point because, according to Saweetie's former road manager, that's where the story started. Now, Miss Maybach May put up a few posts, but the most prominent one was a screenshot of what she claimed was a text conversation between her and Saweetie. And in those messages, Saweetie was allegedly making an inquiry about Jadon Sancho, basically asking, how much money could I run up if I ended up getting with this guy? And that was one of the most talked about parts of these allegations. This text that the ex-manager claimed came from Saweetie herself. And the message said, when bitches run it up on Jadon, how much they doing in a weekend. So that line alone had people online losing their minds, because if that text is real, it sounds like she's asking, how much are other women making off of him, almost like she's comparing rates. And that's what made this whole situation spiral, because it doesn't just sound messy, it sounds very transactional. And this is important because this is not the first time Saweetie has been accused of this type of thing. Over the years, there's been quiet talk, rumors, gossip, whatever you want to call it, through the grapevine about her using relationships as a business move. Now, this is kind of when it starts getting into the
Now, I mean, so to his point, right? Like, that's not anything new for certain female artists, right? Um, as a female artists know that a lot of what people like about them, or especially, I mean, let me just say people, maybe more so like the general public, are going to look at their general relationships, um, and how does that go into the music that they produce, especially if a lot of what they talk about is like sex, or is their love life or love songs, or heartbreak songs. So then it's kind of one of those things where unfortunately or fortunately, like your love life just becomes a part of the brand. Right, like we've heard about the artists that will you know date each other for branding purposes, right? Like Taylor Swift is like known for that. So this is not, I guess, wouldn't be much different, but obviously in this context, it's not just talking about branding, it's talking about how she can use him for money, similar to what an escort would be doing, right? So I guess it just seems a bit weird because, like he said, this is an artist that is generally well known, right? Like this would be the kind of move that you would be expecting from like an Instagram model or an OF creator or something like that. So it is definitely surprising in that sense.
territory where people begin throwing around words like selling the pum pum or escorting, which basically is a very serious accusation. Some of y'all might remember how back in 2022, a little over a year after her breakup with Quavo, he seemingly called her out on the song Messy with a late takeoff. Rest in peace to Takeoff. On that record, he said, BITCH, after my dog behind my back, but I ain't stressing. And And at the time, everybody knew who the dog was rumored to be. It was Offset. And that lyric right there came right after online rumors started spreading online that Saweetie and Offset had hooked up behind Quavo's back, which allegedly is what started the beef between the two members of the Migos, who are the only two ones left. Saweetie never confirmed it, neither did Offset. However, Offset did years later, recently actually, he denied that. But that moment definitely changed how a lot of people started looking at Saweetie. So now with these new allegations from her former road manager, people are revisiting that whole situation, not because the stories are, the same, but because they both paint a picture of how Saweetie moves when it comes to men with status and power, right? Now, her former road manager put up a few other posts, and one of the most notable ones is where she referred to Jada Sancho as a client. I want to make one thing clear. I booked her for an appearance to visit the Chelsea Stadium and support the soccer team. Instead of paying me, she fell in love with the client and told him not to pay me. I was a road manager with her, getting her deals. I was solid to.
So okay, this kind of conflicts with the first text message that was allegedly leaked, right? Because if Jaden Sancho is a client, then that means that he isn't like an active participant in like giving her money and doing all this stuff. Whereas that first text makes it sound like she's just trying to get one over on him. I mean, I guess maybe he was just willing to do it anyway. So and she was just wondering how much of a bag could she get out of it. But what I found funny about this is, the manager said, she fell in love, and she like we're talking about fucking falling in love. I do find it weird though. Like, I don't see why Saweetie would tell him not to pay her. That's what I think makes the story really bizarre. Is like, what would she gain out of not paying the road manager if that was her role in this situation? Like, it just seems weird, and then it seems even weirder because there's no way the road manager wouldn't have threatened that she was going to leak all of this stuff. So I just find it weird that she would let this go on for so long, or Saweetie or Sancho wouldn't just pay her to get her out of their hairs. Like, I just find that weird because it's not as if like either of them are strapped for cash. So that's probably the main thing I find bizarre about this entire situation.
This girl. She got what she wanted and never paid me. Simple. I want my money. Interesting. She claimed she was actually the one who arranged for Saweetie and Jaden to link up, but according to her, things didn't go as planned. And in reality, at least based on what the road manager is saying, the whole plan was for Saweetie to get together with Jaden and he would trick on her. Okay, meaning he'd spend money on her, buy gifts, fly her out, take care of her financially in exchange for her time and attention. Basically, paying for the boom boom, right? But instead of keeping a business, Saweetie allegedly, fell in love with the guy, and that's what Miss Maybach is claiming. So that's when this whole story turned from just messy into something way more serious. I'll tell a joke, but I ain't never told a lie. I sent you to Dubai because you never balled before and was depressed looking for a happy life. Took you to London, babes. Took you to Nigeria. Booked you on an Australian tour. I helped this girl so much, only for her to play with my money at the end. I'm just missing my payment. Money from London. Pay up before I start naming the rest of the husbands you was playing with. And her beef was.
Nah. See, I've heard of sex tourism before, but like this is a different type of sex tourism, man. And I like how, look, I'm probably gonna believe that this lady's being serious because like she's basically outing herself as a pimp. So like, I'm gonna assume whatever money Sancho said she was gonna pay her was about to be serious for her to crash out this much and just air all the dirty laundry like this.
With Saweetie is basically that Saweetie didn't pay her for these services, okay? Like 50 cents, she wanted her goddamn money. Now, some people might call that matchmaking or management, but depending on how you look at it, if what this woman is saying is actually true, that starts crossing into something way darker because what she's describing sounds a lot like what they call procure. Because what she's describing sounds a lot like procuring, which by definition is when someone arranges or facilitates sexual encounters for money on. In legal terms, that's literally what's known as pimping or being a madame, which falls under sex trafficking laws in the United States and most other countries. So if, and that's a big if, what she's claiming actually happened, that wouldn't just be messy, that would be a crime. But again, these are just allegations. None of this has been confirmed, and Saweetie hasn't, publicly spoken about this. And I just don't know how smart it is for the ex-manager to even put this out there publicly.
Exactly my point. Like, you're basically implicating yourself in a crime if you're right. So what is the goal here? Well, I mean, the goal is for her to get her money, but like, how is this helping you? And if you're Saweetie and Jadon Sancho, why have you given this motherfucker her money? Like, so she can leave you alone. Like, because especially if you're Jadon Sancho, because I'm a big football guy, right? Jadon Sancho is a player that, like, bro has way more things he should be worried about right now. Like, bro was supposed to be a guy that had lots of potential, supposed to be one of the top end guys, and his career has been floundering for a couple of years now, but he's still only 25, so he's still really young, to bounce back. And instead of doing that, he now has to try to worry about this nonsense, right? So I don't see why they wouldn't just give her the money so they can leave her alone. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
For a few reasons. Number one, I don't know if this is how she makes her money, but if it is, this move could seriously hurt her business because anyone with money or status is going to look at this and think, yeah, I'm not working with someone who's exposing private stuff like that. And number two, if there's even a little truth to what she's saying, she might have actually put herself in danger because when you start talking about flying people around for things like that, it can get the authorities involved real quick. I mean, that's not just drama anymore. That's the kind of thing that can turn into a real investigation. So honestly, she might have exposed herself too while trying to expose Saweetie, because if this ever gets to the point where the FBI, whoever starts, looking into it, Saweetie could easily flip it into, she could say that, hey, I was being extorted, or, the manager was the one who was trying to set her up. And just like that, Saweetie gets the get out of jail free card, right? But that's beside the point. This type of thing isn't very rare in the entertainment world. Obviously, none of this is confirmed. These are all allegations, and that's exactly how we're labeling it for now, the Saweetie allegations. But let's be real, a lot of this kind of stuff goes on behind the scenes, right? And it's just that most of the time, it never goes to the public, whether it's certain Instagram models or bottle girls, influencers. Once they're connected to the entertainment space, it's a whole different ballgame. Because what happens is you start mixing money, fame, and access. That's where the lines get blurry. Now, whatever you want to say about Saweetie, go ahead. But the truth is, she got money. She's a millionaire. She's not broke. She got money. But that doesn't automatically mean someone can get caught up in a situation like this. Because the truth is, a lot of women who move in these circles, they might have money, but at the same time, they just don't have that kind of money, right? Like, just to give you an idea, Jadon Sancho, the young man we talked about who's 25, who plays in the Premier League, he's reportedly making 300,000 British pounds a week. That's almost 400,000 US dollars every single week. So rapper money is very different from athlete, but specifically Premier League money, clearly. So when you're in those circles, when that kind of money is floating around, it's a different ballgame, right? And they don't just deal with random women on the street. They go through people, connections, introductions, recommendations, okay, from inside their little world. So when you see a woman with some kind of popularity, and I'm not specifically saying Saweetie here, but when you see them with these types of women, these types of guys, they don't just pay for.
So he is right. I should really look into how much does an average, because Saweetie wouldn't be an A-list, probably B-list. How much what would a B-list rapper be making generally? And if we were to look at, I don't think she's put out any. I think the last big song she's had since My Type, which is fuck. I think that would be 5 years ago by now. So, yeah, maybe like she said, maybe she was just desperate. I don't know, bro. Because I just this entire situation is just so bizarre. And also, this chick is I think she's 32 or something. So she's not even it's bro, man, you're way too old to be doing this, bro. You should be starting a family or something, bro. I don't know why this is what you're doing, bro. I'm not saying, if you're a woman over 30, and you don't have a family, your life is crap or whatever. But I'm just saying, we're moving 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old Instagram model girls, and you're in your 30s, bro. Yeah, I just find it really bizarre.
SEX, they're also paying for the drama-free experience that comes with it. They know that if they mess with another woman who doesn't have anything to lose, who isn't established or doesn't have her own name, that can get messy fast. But if the woman already has some kind of platform, status, or reputation, it feels safer to them, right? She understands discretion, she understands the game, and she's not about to risk everything for attention. That's the mindset a lot of these ultra wealthy guys have. So it's not always about just attraction. It's about control, privacy, and keeping their world clean from unnecessary problems. I mean, we're talking about wealthy CEOs, executives, entrepreneurs, obviously athletes and musicians and stuff like that. But most of the time, these men already have a main woman or a wife or a long-term partner who's already aware of how things work. So when they do have someone on the side, that's an arrangement, okay? They know that they can just mess around with anyone because one bird-ass bitch can fuck up the whole operation. So that's why a lot of this stuff goes on very quietly. Little people they trust, introductions, recommendation circles where everybody already knows the rules, like I said. So that gets into a whole different conversation, one I'm actually working on for a separate video. But back to Saweetie. Now it's being alleged that she had multiple trips booked and arranged by this former road manager. The manager claims that they're flying out to all kinds of destinations, Europe, Africa, Australia with the kangaroos and shit, you name it. And according to her, those weren't just regular work trips.
Damn, they're flying all over the place. We're gonna go to Planet Vegeta? Shit. You're gonna go to the Frieza planet too? This manager had her busy, man. See, I don't know. This manager was she the only client? Was she the main client? Did she not have any other? I don't know if workers or escorts, exploitees. I don't know the right term here, but does she not have anybody else to make arrangements for? Crazy.
She's claiming there was a whole other purpose behind them, which, if true, would completely change how people look at Saweetie's public image. Because even though these kinds of rumors have been echoing around the industry for years, Saweetie's always tried to play on a certain image, which is the classy, feminine, and business savvy look, right? Or classy, I would say, early on in her career. Later on, she just said fuck it, right? So the Icy Girl brand that she built early on, it was about luxury, confidence, and independence. But at the same time, the way she's moved outside of that brand has often been the complete opposite. Like a few years ago, she went viral due to this Instagram live she put up where she was telling women, if he's not buying you a Birkin bag or paying your bills, throw that nigga back to the streets.
If you're not getting you a bargain, if you're not paying for your bills, throw that nigga back to the streets, okay?
Coincidentally enough, she dropped a song right before that moment called Back to the Streets. So a lot of people started feeling like the whole thing was just marketing, which it was, where she was playing into that same image in order to sell the music. And the issue with that is pretty obvious. You're selling women in your audience this fantasy that if a man isn't buying you a designer bag, which is worthless, or paying your bills, he's not worth your time.
Well, yeah, that's obviously a bad take, but like, at the end of the day, they're artists, they're showmen or showwomen in this case. Like, their entire thing is to provoke reaction out of people to get attention. That's their thing. Because I do remember, this is a long ass time. I think this was like 4 or 5 years ago, where this video went viral and people were like chatting about it and talking nonsense and rage baiting all this nonsense. And it's like, bro, like, it is just a artist trick trying to get traction for a song, but like, it's not that deep. But relax.
Which, in other words, you're basically saying this pum pum can be bought. Now, as for this particular story, again, these are just allegations. Saweetie hasn't responded to anything, but it's the kind of claim that sticks, especially when it feeds into an image people have already questioned. And the conversation that's been coming up about Saweetie for a while now is how much she's actually benefited from what people call pretty privilege, which, in other words, means the idea that her looks opened the door for her, that she's been rewarded for being attractive.
Yeah, but like, that's the industry. You know, like, how many? Shit, I don't think I want to open this can of worms. The only thing I'm gonna ask is how many big female artists are conventionally unattractive? And I'm not gonna name them because, I'm not gonna do that. But you know, there's not, and even if there are, how much more talented did they have to be to overcome their conventionally unattractiveness? Wow, this sounds disgusting. This sounds really bad. But my point is, like, people are just like, oh, you know, pretty privilege. Like, that has been the name of the game since the dawn of time. And yes, Saweetie is a very good looking woman. I don't think that goes. I think that goes without saying. And obviously, there's the colorism tax that you can add in there as well. Obviously, conventionally attractive. She's light skinned, which is considered conventionally attractive. Skinnier, which is considered conventionally attractive. So yeah, there's definitely conversations you can have about all of those isms. But I'm just saying her career is more of a microcosm of that. So.
More than her actual talents. But recently, she actually flipped the whole conversation on its head, and she went viral for it. During a recent interview, Saweetie actually talked about something she called pretty punishment. In her words, people have seen that she's gorgeous, she's getting money, you know, she's getting bags, she's always in a spotlight. But what they don't see is how many doors were slammed in her face, how many times she's been counted out or underestimated because of her appearance. And this is according to her, right? This is her perspective. Saweetie said they talk about pretty privilege, but they don't talk about pretty punishment. And what she meant by that is that being pretty comes with a different kind of bias. People project on you, they assume things, and sometimes they even root against you out of animosity or hidden agendas. And Saweetie said that this is something that she's dealt with her entire life.
Feel like the industry has tried to count you out, like
Since I started.
talk about it, man. Because I think people, look, to be honest, people see you're gorgeous. You're getting endless bags. You are, listen, that girl. I don't think they understand how many doors, how many rejections, how many times people have counted you out.
I saw it on TikTok. They were like, they talk about pretty privilege, but they don't talk about pretty punishment. There's been so many times I've just been counted out, and I know that it's behind animosity. I know it's because of a hidden agenda, but it makes me work harder. But this has happened like my whole life. So it's like what I deal with in the industry is just different face, same case.
Oof.
Now, after that clip went viral, Saweetie got a lot of backlash online, but she pushed back, saying the media twisted her words and misrepresented her points. On X, formerly known as Twitter, she said the conversation wasn't about bragging or complaining. It was about microaggressions, hidden agendas, and what it's really like to move through the industry as a woman who's constantly being judged for her looks. And she clarified that she's grateful and she's happy for her success. You know, glory to God, I believe she said. But the pressure, bias, and judgment is real. And she ended it by saying she's not fazed and that she'll keep going because.
Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy take, like, at all. I don't know what people were upset about. Like obviously, pretty privilege is a thing that we talk about, but yeah, like you said, people will project their own feelings onto you, and if they're insecure and they deem you as being what society wants to look at, they're going to project that disillusion of that upon you. I mean, granted, I don't have to worry about this because actually, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to go into that either. But yeah, let's just finish the video, man. Shit.
she has a vision, right? So yeah, she framed the whole pretty privilege narrative into something deeper. And whether you agree or not, it's definitely got people talking, right? Now, I don't know exactly where Saweetie stands after these allegations. We haven't heard her side, and everything that's come out so far is still just claims. But what we do know is that this whole conversation opens up a much bigger door because it's way more common than people think. And it got me thinking about something else, which is if Saweetie, someone with money, fame, and a career, and a very strong brand, is allegedly moving this way, imagine what's going on with the industry women who don't have any of that. Imagine what a lot of these Instagram models are doing behind the scenes, like not the established ones, the ones who are trying to get a poppin' just now, the ones who are flying out to all these different places like it's nothing, Amsterdam to Bali to Oslo. Next day she's all up in New York and then back to Bali. Like, bitch, how the fuck you do that shit? Posting this luxurious lifestyle, but they don't have a consistent stream of income, and a lot of them are just doing what they can to keep up with the image, to survive, to maintain a lifestyle, or to chase that next opportunity, which usually comes in the form of a man with money who they're using as a come up. I think these allegations.
Yeah, no, he's spot on that too. Like that was why I was so surprised when I saw it, because like he said, Sweetie's not exactly like some bum off the street that nobody knows who she is, right? Like she's not Kendrick or Drake or J. Cole, or even like I guess at this point like Doechii or Meg Thee Stallion, but she's not some random either. So if someone like that has to move where she has to seriously think about how she's going to come up on other men, and she's established like that, then that kind of goes into what kind of power imbalance are we seeing with like these dudes and the other lesser known women, right? And then, but ultimately, I think if the allegations are true, I still don't know what the road manager's game plan is at this, because she's just implicating herself, and like you said, this is just going to make it harder for other quote unquote clients that want her services or the services of her, again, employees, exploitees, workers, girls. I'm gonna say her girls. They don't want her girls' services. They're probably gonna think twice about that now. So, and then Jan Sancho, Sweetie, bro, just pay this woman her money so she can leave you alone, bro. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. You guys subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and most importantly, have a good day.